I'm Caitlin, and welcome to the Lit Review. As promised, this is part 2 of the book haul, the biggest of book hauls, if you recall. So in case you missed my first video, I will link it up here in the cards for you, as well as down in the description box below. But August was a month where I was allowed to buy books. If you're a longtime follower of the Lit Review, then you already know all about my LitLand life. But if you're new here, let me give you a really quick breakdown of why I went on such a mega book buying spree. So first and foremost, I do my TBR game every month here called LitLand, where I choose my TBR through a board game. But the goal of LitLand is to get to a book haul. So for the first 4.5 months of my channel, I wasn't allowed to buy books. And then a magical thing happened in August where I was allowed to. So I am now currently no longer allowed to buy books in this month of September and moving forward. But LitLand also has some rules that are relevant here for this book haul. So while I am, again, no longer buying books currently, whenever I next hit a haul in LitLand, I will have to unhaul the difference between how much I actually hauled here in August and how much is still unread, because it is about keeping my TBR manageable and keeping me honest about my book buying habits. So the grand total number of books that I bought between these two combined book haul videos is 105. Let that sink in for a minute, because I know it's a lot. I had never tried to deny myself buying books before, and so it was a bit of an experience. I don't regret it because I'm very excited about all the things I bought and I'm here to share with you today. But as you've already seen in my first video by this point, I decided to break it up because I bought way more romance than I did any other genre. Hey. So today is my romance book haul for you, and I'm super excited to go through it all with you. And just a couple of things to help clarify the numbers component of this book haul. I did not count books that I had already read but would like to own, and there are a couple of those in that book haul that I will call out for you. So those books do not count towards my final number for LitLand reasons, because I've already read them and I just wanted to own them properly and support the authors. So those don't count towards my big bad number. There are also some books in both of my hauls that are part of some upcoming secret TBRs. So enjoy trying to figure out where exactly those books are hidden. But you'll be seeing them probably before the end of the year. It's going to take me a while to film some of them, but I do just kind of want to plant that seed of excitement for you. So I have broken this down a little bit by genre for romance, even though they are all books that belong within the sphere of romance. And I will not be giving summaries because today we have 45 books to get through, and I'm going to do my best to make this quick and efficient. So first things first, let's start with contemporary. These are in no particular order, including some of the series, like they're not in series order. Sorry about it. But 40 Love by Olivia Dade, Don't You Forget About Me by Vari McFarlane, Aisha at Last by Uzma Jalaluddin, The Roommate by Rosie Danon, Loathe at First Sight by Suzanne Park, Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert. Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This is technically, I think, like book 2 in a series, but I hear such good things that I kind of just wanted to start here. And then I completed my physical copies of Elle Kennedy's Briar U and Off Campus series. So most of these are not being counted towards my total score for my LitLand potential unhaul, because they are books that I have already read, and I own several of them in ebook, but really just wanted to continue to support the author in a more lucrative way for them. So yeah, this is all the books that I didn't own from those series, including one that I have not read, so only one of these counts. But that is The Mistake, The Chase, The Deal, The Goal, The Risk, and the new one to me is The Dare. This is part of the Briar U series. It's the newest in the Briar U series. So this is the one that counts for my big numbers. But I'm so excited to own all of these. The other ones that are missing from these series are ones that I already did own in paperback. I should note that many of these books that I'm hauling for you came from either like independent bookstores or in some cases from places like Thrift Books or Better World Books, much like this one did, which is Love at First Sight by Hannah Orenstein. And you can see on some of my copies that they were like former library copies, which is something that doesn't bother me. I will probably attack this with some Gooby Gone and get that off of there. But yeah, I just have been really trying to support either small bookstores with my hauls or you buy used in order to make it like less financially dense for me. But you know, I also think these gently used books still deserve plenty of love. So yeah, excited to check this one out. And then the last of my contemporary romances is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. And this is a romance, contemporary romance with asexual representation. Next up are my fantasy romances, of which there is a smaller number. We only had 6 fantasy romances in this book haul, but I'm still pretty dang excited about them. Is Bitter Spirits by Jen Bennett. I did pick up C.L. Wilson's first book in the Terran Soul series, which is Lord of the Fading Lands. Well-loved library book that I got off of Thrift Books, but I wanted to give it a go. And I've never read any Teresa Medeiros, but this is Breath of Magic. It is a time-traveling witch. So, you know. This is Bond of Blood by Diane Whiteside, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And then I'm breaking up the fantasy romance books a little bit because some of these were ones that I bought kind of again at independent bookstores or through places like Thrift Books or Better World Books. And then there is an eBay situation that I will tell you all about in a minute. But these first couple of books are ones that I bought elsewhere along my book buying journey. So Lisa Kleypas's Chasing Cassandra, and this is Courtney Milan's Proof of Seduction. I did also pick up An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. And then I did buy this one used, and I'm a little sad about how it turned out because the cover that was presented is not entirely how it arrived, and it has seen some better days in some areas, but this is Julie Garwood's The Lion's Lady, and it is a hardback. But still very excited to be able to read this book, and the cover is still very pretty. I just kind of wish it was in better condition. Now, the rest of the books from this romance book haul came from one particular seller on eBay, which I will link down below. And I was inspired to do this by Jess from Peace Love Books XO, who did a little bit of an eBay haul. She found this seller that was doing kind of like semi-mystery boxes because the seller also like owns a used bookstore. Basically, for just under $30, you could get a mystery box of historical romances, and you could give some direction about preferences, things you like, things you don't like. It is open to personalization. So I was originally intending to do a whole separate video on this, but honestly, 3 different book hauls just felt like too much. So we're doing it here. And I will also link for you Jess's video where you can see her haul from this same eBay seller. And I have to say, I highly recommend this experience if you are a historical romance reader, because there are a lot of titles here that I have never heard of. And I asked for some weird things when I went in for personalization. Some of them were pretty straightforward. Like I said that I was really interested in a good step back if they had it. I said I was interested in reading more Joanna Lindsay. This was before A Pirate's Love and I got mad, but you know, like that's okay. That's okay, we still like her. And then I also asked if there were any Bertrice Smalls or Beverly Jenkins. And the seller did come back and tell me that they were completely out of Beverly Jenkins because she's just so popular right now, which makes sense. But she was able to accommodate some of my other author requests. And in terms of topics, I gave a kind of just like really broad approach of things like, hey, I like this stuff. If you can get them, great. If not, no pressure. I'm still just excited to get the box. And so my kind of requests were probably not a big shock to some of you who are familiar with some of the things I really love here, and that is I love time travel. I really like pirate or seascape romances, which is something you might want to challenge me on given my last wrap-up video, but in theory I like them a lot. And I also said that I really was a sucker for any like royal romances, like if it's a prince or princess or king that's falling in love with somebody that they're not supposed to, like that is just beautiful to me. And then I also had the request of if you could give me a setting that isn't like Regency England, that sounds like really interesting to me. So they, I think, did a really good job. And again, some of these are maybe not things that I would have picked up for myself, but I'm super impressed by the findings of this book haul. So I won't go into huge summary with all of these, but I will do my best to like tell you what which of my requests those filled if they did. And there are some Bertree Small and Joanna Lindsey books in here, so I'm pretty excited about that. And there are plenty more of people that I have never heard of before, which is still really exciting to me as a romance reader. And you know, we'll see whether or not I like the end results of these books, but I'm very happy at just first glance looking through some of these. So there's The Warrior by Judith E. French. This is set in like ancient Macedonia, ancient Egypt, so already very happy, not Regency. And there's nothing wrong with Regency, I should say. I like Regency romances plenty, but I think if I was asking for like a specialized request, why not go for something a little off the beaten path and see what's out there? Then we have Wild Sweet Promise by Janelle Taylor, which is a Viking romance. The Venetian's Mistress by Anne Elizabeth Cree, and this is set in Venice, so again, cool. And then Catherine Coulter, Lord of Falcon Ridge, and it turns out that this is book 3 in a series, so that's like a little disappointing, which again, no fault of the seller, she was meeting what I asked of it, but I'm gonna have to track down book 1 and 2. You know, oh, hardship for me at a booktube channel, but you know, this is a Viking romance and I'm still pretty excited to get this. I didn't think I realized Catherine Coulter did historical stuff. Sorceress by Lisa Jackson. I believe this is kind of like a historical fantasy. Yes, here we go. Okay, so this is Interlude in Time. See that without the glare. From Rita Clay Estrada. And you can see how shiny that cover actually is, but this is a time travel and potentially an amnesia romance. So like, ugh. And the person who time travels is from like the 20s. So like really unique title here. And then this is a little anthology collection called Timeless Love, presented by Avon, and the authors here are Laurie Copeland, Catherine Creel, Kay McMahon, and Bobby Smith. And these are all time travel related, so beautiful pick. And then this one fulfilled my request for Joanna Lindsey, but I already owned this one. Again, no fault of the seller, I didn't specify any things that I already owned, but this is Warrior's Woman by Joanna Lindsey. And I am gonna actually put this in my no box for my unhaul. Again, no fault in quality or knowledge of the seller. And this one is the one that I own is about in the same care and quality in terms of, you know, how good of a shape it's in. So I think I'm just gonna like make sure that this one finds a awesome new home. Okay, and then we have For My Lady's Honor by Sharon Schultz. And I don't really know much about this one in terms of like how it fits, so this one might have just been a like add-in. And then I'm super excited about this one. It is Joanna Lindsey's Fires of Winter. So way back in April when I read Hearts of Flame for the historical romance readathon, and Hearts of Flame is, you know, kind of a semi-duology, or book 2 in a semi-duology. And this is book 1, so this is Kristen's parents' love story. So I'm super excited to get this, and it's in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of creasing on the cover, but the spine is in really good condition, and it does have some tape up here, but I think I can get that off pretty safely. Okay, and then I did get a couple of Bertree Small books here. This one is Rosamund, which is set in the Highlands. And this is A Love for All Time by Bertree Small. I believe this is part of the larger arc of the like Skye O'Malley series, but excited to have it. Again, really good quality, very little spine creasing. All right, and then the other Bertree Small book that came in this mystery box is A Moment in Time. And this one is one that I am at least somewhat aware of. It's not fully time travel, but it is kind of like a love through time reincarnation, slight fantasy take, if I understand it correctly. So like it still very much fits within the vibe of my request. Oh, and I almost forgot about these. I do have 2 other Joanna Lindsey picks. So Joanna Lindsey's The Devil Who Tamed Her. I actually do really like this cover. And then Joanna Lindsey's The Heir, which has this nice little step back. Okay, so then we have Shannon Drake's Night Triumphant. check the step back, and this is again a Scottish romance. And we have more Vikings. It is Joan Van Nuys's Beloved Enchantress. All right, and I've never read anything or really heard much about this author, but it is Judy DeCanio, and this is Beloved Warrior, which I believe involves time travel and Norse warrior types. So this could be perfect for me. We'll see. And then we have Catherine Kennedy's Enchanting the Beast, which is part of the Relics of Merlin series, which I have never heard of or read, but you know, we're giving this a go. And this is I think like potentially Regency, but it's Regency with werewolves. So we're gonna see where that lands us. And then last but certainly not least, for the eBay portion of this book haul, but for the book haul overall, and that is Deborah Gordon's Runaway Time. You can see that. So maybe not the most alluring cover, but the back definitely has that romance vibe. So again, time travel, this time to Civil War America. So I cannot recommend this eBay situation higher than this. I haven't read any of these yet, but just in terms of how well the seller listened and like gave me a bunch of titles that I had never heard of or read before, but also really fit some of my very strange requests. These are not like your typical requests for the historical romance genre, but I'm so happy to have received them, and hopefully I will find some hidden gems in this mix. So this is my romance book haul, part 2 of my book haul series from when I could buy books in August. I'm well aware that I went a little overboard. I don't anticipate going quite this far the next time I'm allowed to do a book haul, but this was a lot of fun. And I, again, will link the eBay seller that I use. I will link Jess's original video. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!